Be a panel session called Fostering Innovation Ecosystem for a Thriving Innovation-Based Economy. With that, I'd like to invite up to the stage our moderator, Karamjit Singh, CEO of Digital News Asia, or DNA, and also
Yes, we should be talking to Mr. Johnson Lam, Chief Innovation Officer of Souls 247.
Ms. Charlie Koh, founder and CEO of Urban Metri, and they will be joined later by Encik Kamarul Arifin Abdul Samad, the CEO of Cyberview Sendran Berhad. With that, without further ado, I'd like to pass the mic over to Karamjit Singh.
Thank you very much, and thank you for those who have joined online. We appreciate the privilege of your time that you're giving us. And as I was telling someone, all of us are united by one factor. Our most precious asset is our time. So with that now, and I see some people nodding, yeah. So we're going to get started on this topic. You know, it's really talking about, you know, an ecosystem, right? How do you get a proper foster ecosystem for a thriving, innovative economy? So we've got three interesting speakers. I mean, the CEO of Cyberview, the new CEO is touring with some VIP guests, so they were not aware of this. So he'll join us after shortly. Yeah? But we're going to get started with our three panelists, and I'm going to start with Johnson first. Johnson is super innovative and super loving person because he's a strong community builder. And if you don't have a lot of love and care and compassion in you, you cannot be a community leader, you know, because you want to bring everyone together, united behind a single purpose. So you got to go and check out his website, Kaki Seni and Kaki DIY, Kaki DIY. Yep, yeah, Kaki, not Kaki Seni. He's not an artist, sorry. Okay, the IP infringement now, Kaki Seni. Okay, but you can check out the thing. And Johnson, by the way, was the first winner, the Innovator of the Year in 2021 when DNA and Malaysia Kini organized a Top in Tech Innovation Award. So superb guy, corporate experience, and then now he's with a company that's 20 over years old, so it's not a startup, but This company has got launched a startup to do EV charging. So watch out, Tesla. No, we've got our own EV charging company here. So Johnson has had a lot of experience doing many things. And I want to get started by Johnson asking you, right? So because we want to talk about, ecosystem national. So what do you think? You've seen so many things over the years, learned so many things. Share with us what you feel that, maybe government has done right with its policies or not, because there have been so many policies supporting the innovative ecosystem in Malaysia for over 2 decades, right? When I've been a tech journalist that whole period, so I've seen it happen also. But Johnson, please share. You've helped build it. I've only been reporting on it. He's helping to build it or break it down. I don't know.
Okay, thank you, Karamjit. No, such an honor. I mean, there's so many things that can be done over here, right? So mine is a little portion from the bottom. All right, yeah. So I mean, over the last few years, right, we have seen so many policies, definitely, right? Even in the 10 Malaysia plan, 11 Malaysia plan, innovation had been the focus kind of thing. And nowadays, there's more and more acronyms coming until I lost track as well, right?
Exactly.
Recently, what? NSTIP, right? Sounds more like a supercar than anything, right? So, but all these things are really good because end of the day, there are many pillars where, I mean, the government, Malaysia, everyone is focusing into, especially a lot of investment into R&Ds, into all these big companies to help out to get Malaysia towards there.
Okay, so just quickly, when you say the government has been putting a lot into R&D, if somebody is here from a public university and we've got 4 apex universities which are focused on research and development, they will tell you how their budgets have been cut by 50% over the last 15 years. It has happened from like 2005 onwards, right? When the late JJ was the minister. But my point is, when you say government is putting a lot, it's actually becoming less and less. But that forces you to be innovative. You have to do more with less. And Singapore has got its own, 5-year innovation plans. And the recent one, they're putting in 23 billion Sing dollars over the next 5 years. The one before that ended in 2021, they put in 19 billion Sing dollars, right? Just blows everything anyone else in Asia, not just South Asia, doing out of the water. So that's the reality of how that dot down down at the sole of our feet, right? With Malaysia as a body is doing. So it's super important what governments are trying to do to accelerate it. But while Johnson, you're saying we're doing a lot, we're actually doing a lot within the means of Malaysia's capabilities, right? Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, correct. And at the same time, after looking at it recently, right, I can see that we are doing it, we are actually taking a 1 step back.
We are taking 1 step back. Okay, that's off the record. There are 2 journalists here. Oh no.
Okay,
I'm just kidding you.
Don't worry. Yeah. Because you see, if you look at the 10 Malaysian plan, right, for innovation, we are trying to, do towards progress, a lot of investment and all that. But then on the 11th Malaysian plan, you start to realize that, hey, we are actually focusing more into collaboration, into the community and all that. Because we start to realize that, I mean, we cannot just throw money at the problem.
Yeah, that's true also. That's true.
Yeah, so I think that is where we, for now, okay, from the community perspective, from the SME perspective, we have to start doing as well. Because if not, right, yeah, there's a lot of platform, R&D money here and there. But how relevant is that towards solving today's issue? That's one question, right? Second is also, we tend to always learn from the other countries and all that. Oh, let's adopt this, adopt that. However, today, locally,
that's not learning, that's copying. Learning means they've done that. Let's go and find out what worked, what didn't work. And within what works, what can we afford to do?
Yeah. So, but at the same time, how much relevance is there, right? From what we copy and what we can implement here, right? So where's the missing piece? So the missing piece is actually all of us here, right? From community perspective, from the public perspective, SME startup, we can see the problem on the ground level. Let's connect it up, right? So that's where actually is kind of missing, I would say, here today. Because end of the day, we have all these plans, okay, from the top down.
Very well structured, laid out plans, right?
Yeah, with all the trust and the pillars, okay, next 10 years, 5 years, what's it going to do, right?
You forgot lever. They use trust, they use pillar, they use lever.
Yeah. My vocabulary getting better just reading through the policies.
There you go. Those want to improve English, read one of our master plans.
Yeah, but at the same time, communities and people like us, we are more connected to the problems.
Yeah,
okay.
Of course.
Now, to get the problems to be solved, by all of this support, the middle part, which is the missing piece.
Which is?
It's either a platform, it's either transparency of the system, it's either probably from events like this, we take a few steps up to connect all these people, start off with work groups, or well, immediately apply what we can from what we learn to solve the problem.
Okay, so all right. So I've got another question for you on this later, right? So which is what we can do better. So hopefully you've got something very specific to share with us. So let's move on to Charlie now. It's CHA-LY, not CHARLEY. I've got a good friend called Charlie, but I decided just to pronounce both their names the same way. But Charlie is amazing. She was just recognized by the World Economic Forum as among the global 100 tech pioneers. And she was the only Malaysian. Please, a round of applause for her, because that is no easy task. And also she knows how not easy it is to be an innovative company. She's been running a startup for 9 years. She raised some funding, about $4 million US in 2020, right?
2 million.
2 million, okay, 4 million coming soon. I'm predicting the future. 2 million US in 2020 during the pandemic. And she can tell you how difficult it is to be an innovative company, even as a startup, because the accepted, the urban legend about startups is they're innovative, right? You're born innovative. But she will now share with us how difficult it has been in the 9 years and what they have done to become innovative also. Charlie?
Right. Thanks, Karamrich. So just maybe a very brief time travel for 9 years. Okay. So I started a company quite naively to solve an itch lah. So I was working in the government for a little bit. You can look at my profile, and then I worked in the private company, government linked companies, etc. And it was quite annoying to me that things were not data driven. So a lot of decision making was not evidence based, and I wanted to scratch that itch, and hence I started the company, right? And from then on, it became this whirlwind of roller coaster, unguided. I was not plugged into the startup community at all. I think I only met you much later.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
right. And I think the reason for
Actually,
that.
no, the first time I met her also, we met for coffee, and she met with me reluctantly, but it was a very like guarded discussion. And I just say, I'm hearing you're doing this, right? It's quite hard to do. You're trying to bring data into the prop tech space. She's just very suspicious and guarded, so I just remember that. But we had good coffee though.
So yeah, so I think so let's talk about that a little bit, right? So let's go deep a little bit. Why was that the case when you start a company in that time, that people are very guarded, right? Like people are like, oh, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? I think the reason is because our ecosystem, let's go back to the idea of the ecosystem, is not very supportive. Right? Why is it not very supportive? Why is it not very supportive?
You said our ecosystem, meaning the startup ecosystem, right?
No, I think Malaysia. Let's go a bit wider.
Okay,
Government,
wider. Okay, fine.
Okay, let's talk about that. Dissect that a little bit, right? Fine. Why is it so difficult for an innovator, right? Because culturally, as Asians, I'm going to go very broad and then go very micro, right? Culturally, as Asians, we are taught to not fail. Your mom tells you 95 not enough. Okay, why you made 2 careless mistake on your math exam, right? So it is a very sort of like among 100 ideas, you have to pick the correct one. Otherwise, you're wasting your time, right? So there is that so deep, innate in Asians already. We have that problem. Okay, so even though I was American educator, went to MIT and all these things, when I'm back in this environment, that kind of crept in, right? Like this sort of judgment among your communities and your social networks and stuff like that. Okay, so that's one. But over time, you start to realize that is not productive, right? That's not productive, and you innovate yourself out of it. So fast forward today, the way I cost my products is 99 failures and 1 success, right? So
like Einstein, right? He said, did he say innovation or innovation, right? Or is 99% perspiration, sweat lah. I use the word sweat. 1% innovation.
So there is a big difference between failing because you're lazy and you're careless,
Yep.
and failing successfully.
Mm.
What is failing successfully,
Okay.
right? So I always ingrain this mindset to my team now. I always tell them, try, right? As long as you are extremely clear about your problem statement, extremely clear about your hypothesis, and you have a way to tell me why you failed, data-driven way, failure was not wasted.
Yep.
That resources was actually productive to finding the correct answer cheaper, right? But if you fail and you don't know, and you succeed, you also don't know, I cannot repeat it, right? So I think that sort of mindset of experimentation is absent amongst our talent. I actually have to actively train anybody who comes into the office this new mindset, because otherwise it's destructive. They get very demoralized, de-energized. When one small failure, wow, they beat themselves up until cannot come to work, right? So that is not productive. And I think that's one thing of innovative thinking at the cultural level, right? And we can go, I mean, I can go on, but then we talk about even at the government level, right? Government, let's talk about the money thing that you guys said just now. Singapore is throwing money. We're looking at this big budgets, master plan. Oh, so much money, right? But is money always going to win, right? Because if you think about it, if money is going to win, then we might as well pack our bags. Middle East will win, right? Or China or America. There's no way. But in actual fact, that's not really the case, right? Some of the things that we can do extremely cheaply, we're not doing. What was that? What is that? One of the things that government's role, in my opinion, anyway, my humble opinion is, government's role is to create the rules around the monopoly board. Their role is not to bet on the players. That's my thinking anyway. So if they are not betting on the players, they are making the monopoly board conducive for innovation. What does that mean? It things that they can control, laws, regulation, policies, right? But these are the things that a lot of times they tend to think that, oh, just give out 5 million or whatever, right? But very fundamental things is that this whole scared of failure. Why your parents tell you don't start a new company? Because a lot of it has to do with, actually, we don't know whether it's legal, or we don't know if, even though you think that it's very, very good for community, right? Is it allowed? And we have this whole like bad enforcement thing where when I like it, will come after, right? So there's a fear of like, am I, going out of the territory? And that's why I think I want to say some good things about government now, which is like, Bank Negara had this whole sandbox.
Yes.
The fintech sandbox.
Yeah.
I was so happy about that. Why? Because here is the thing where I am investing professional, legal, regulators, resources, which is the most expensive thing in the organization, right? Time, right? Come back to the idea of time. And so I'm giving you this expert from regulation, this expert from whatever, like, I don't know, financial supervision or whatever. And they are spending their time as regulators to assess what's the risk of trying a new idea. Okay?
Yep.
And I'm putting a sandbox around you and say, go play. And even if you fail, the damage is so small.
Yeah, of course. But that's why it's a
It's
sandbox.
okay, right? But it's hard. Government doesn't have that mindset. Government is not coming in to say, I'm going to spend the time to help you push, like, I don't know, build buffers around you so that nobody gets hurt.
No, but when you say that government doesn't have, isn't the fact that we already have two or three sandboxes, right, by different organizations, starting to chip away, right, at trying to create the right mindset, right? So
yeah, so Karamcha, I would like to think so, right? So I've been trying to get into the sandbox, I couldn't get in.
oh, okay.
And the reason is because nobody knows if it's regulated. So sometimes even getting into the sandbox, it's hard because the people who are maybe sort of like looking at the sandbox, there's too many rules. So there's a barrier to entry even into the sandbox,
Okay,
right?
okay.
Yeah, so I think the mindset is still a mindset issue where everybody is so scared that we do the sandbox wrong. I'm scared I'm doing the sandbox wrong, right?
Yeah, no.
So
Understood.
then that's the part that is not invested in. If you ask me, if government had 20 million,
Yep.
I'd rather they spend that 20 million like this versus funding startups.
Funding startup, wow, interesting. Very interesting, very bold observation there also. So, you know, the concept of a sandbox, right? I mean, it's actually a Western term, right? They will put sand in, you cannot go to the beach, you bring the beach, you know, to garden, right? Bring sand and put it in a box, your kids will play there safely. So the corporate world has taken it. So that's a bit of innovative thinking also, right? Let's call it where it's a safe place for you to experiment and break things, and regulators also come and learn and get comfortable with that. But having said that, it's a company in Singapore, before I come to you, Charlie, I come to you with the next question. A company in Singapore is helping the universities to commercialize their R&D. And the guy came here for a talk because University Malaya launched, they have deep tech, they have their Deep Tech 3.0, is their in-house accelerator for university researchers, right, to come and try to meet the corporate sector and the university try to help you bridge the gap, which is a huge chasm, it's not a gap. So it was great that he from Singapore came, and he said even in Singapore, with all the money the government is spending, he said less than 10% of the university R&D has been successful. But also how difficult it is, right, for R&D from universities to make it into the market. Super difficult. So Charlie is not just throwing a lot of money there. Unity and is trying to almost $1 million from 2018 when he partnered with this professor. His own money, no grants and nothing. And he said that when he went to Ministry of Health and say, hey, I got this system now, which is just this small. He sent me a picture, right? You can test more than one bacteria, you know, when you go to the warung or wherever or restaurant, right? And the results are there in 15 minutes. That's the innovative way. The current way from the 1980s, no, I'm an officer from Jabatan Kesihatan, go there, okay, ambil sampel, okay, terima kasih. You know, maybe you straight away, if you see dangerous, you saman kena tutup 1 bulan or whatever. You send the sample back to the lab, okay? The lab busy with all other work. Imagine, the other guy is 15 minutes on the spot. The lab go and you got to wait. Sometimes it takes up to 1 month before you get the results. Can you imagine how insane that is? And it tells Ministry of Health people, I've got a better way, and they cannot comprehend it. We have to change so many things. It's real, it's happening still today, right? It's so frustrating to hear. So that's how reality is, innovation is against all mindset, all thinking, because people don't want to change. But we got to force it, right? All of you, like Johnson, I love what you say. We all have to be part of the change makers. Don't just wait for policy coming out, right? Okay, Johnson, now my question for you. Okay, sorry. I got excited. I was not supposed to leave the chair.
Passionate about this.
No, it's free, Johnson, okay, because you've seen policy have hinted to you. So what say, hey, I've got for university researchers, and this is incredible product for 15 minutes, and then when I succeed in Malaysia, I can go to Indonesia. And they say, wow, shit, man, hey, come, we got to have meeting on, we got to quickly change our law, right? And let the policy makers know. What will it take for that to happen, man?
Okay. Yeah, this one, I think I like 2 things that came out from this conversation just now.
Okay.
One is the whole culture thing, right? I think because end of the day, I would say general Malaysians, we brought out in such a way that, okay, failure is a no-no thing, okay? So which means that you don't dare to try. Okay. And secondly, as well, I think even from schools and stuff like that, we are given, we take, we do, right? So if we are going to go on this path, which means every time our innovation or a new policy and something like that, it's going to be a top down, in the end, no one's going to try. And then we cannot just wait for government to be all the time bringing in new stuff and why not let's do this, do that, right? Yeah. So that's why I think in terms of fixing this from a cultural and mindset perspective, I would say we still need to do it ground up.
Ground up.
ground
okay.
up. Okay, I think that's why one of the reason why I started to doing what I'm doing, right? Because before that, I mean, I was in corporate doing
Yeah.
this innovation role as well.
Correct.
I was in different accelerator program in startups and things like that. And then I start to realize that if we are just about to just do all this part, right? And the people themselves do not take the initiative or know the reason why we need to innovate, then we are not going anywhere. All right. So how to do that is, of course, one, give them a platform for them to try and fail and learn,
Yeah.
like a sandbox, right? So before that, I think 10 years ago, I was trying to hope to create more innovators
Okay.
and startup and problem solvers. And I started to realize that people can't get into that mindset because end of the day, your own problem at home, you don't fix it. If you don't start to fix problems that you see around you, how are you going to innovate and able to spot problems that we can fix for the community, as a company, as a service, or for the nation, right? So that's how the whole platform thing started. So I started from ground up. I created this platform for people to come and repair and learn from each other, collaborate, and then have the innovation.
His team was very helpful during the Muda
flood.
which what Muda
Sri
Kampung?
Muda flood.
Sri Muda floods, right? 2 years ago, incredibly helpful. Normally, your washing machine gets water, right? You think hey, kena buang. They went and repaired it and saved people, at least 1,000 ringgit, right? For even a low-end washing machine, right? Incredible. I say, wow. I mean, somebody let the Sultan know so he can get his datukship.
No.
Oh no, PJK, the Pingat Jasa Kebaktian. At least that. Okay, but sorry, carry on. Okay.
Yeah, okay, a bit of a background, right? So previously I was trying to create more innovators, right? Then to realize that we can't be innovators if we don't solve our own problems. So actually then I launched a platform a few years back. It's called Kaki Repair. Okay, Kaki Repair is a platform where you come out, you learn how to repair your own stuff. Okay, and how do you learn, right? It's not that a seafood going to stand there and teach. You collaborate with each other, and then from each other's skills, we leverage, and then we can solve the problem. And from there, the next stage will be, then you go and teach other people to solve problems and start to realize that there's a common pattern in the problem, and then you group up together to solve that common pattern. Then it can become a new product or new service, right? So those are the baby steps that will get the community ready towards an innovative mindset, and to match up with all the whatever initiative and policies that's coming on. That's the small step that I hope it will help lah. So this is just one, but it can be from many perspectives as well, right? Yeah.
Okay, good. So you're saying so. I think because there are some innovation plans already. Then have you been reaching out at the community level to at least the MOSTI, right? Because it's the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation. Have you all tried to reach out to them and say, guy, we've looked at this and we think we can help here. Can we come in and talk to you? And have you tried to engage with them or no?
Okay.
Because then I'm going to be the busybody to connect you to the minister. You please let me know now.
Yeah, please be. Okay. So at the same time, I mean, from a
government. I say Kepochi lah. I'm from Penang. I'll be the Kepochi.
Yeah, sama-sama Penang lang.
So, lu pun Penang lang.
Penang
Okay.
Yeah.
Amang si Peng si Penang lang. Oh, I say, okay. Oh, okay. At the back also.
Yeah. So, I mean, I also understand from whether it's government or corporate or private perspective, right? They are also scared to reach out to invest and help out because one, is it proven kind of thing? So, of course, I mean, community perspective, a lot of things are proven. But maybe what we are lacking of is a very data driven approach. Maybe not enough numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow,
so we have to collaborate more.
Collaborate more. Yeah, I think that's why Charlie, got into this space, right, to solve all problems.
I think there's the years maybe I share a little bit. I think as Asians we are taught that science trumps a little bit, like over emotions, right? But as a human, which means that I will always rely on my personal data points in order to make those decisions, correct? Okay, so if I ask Karamjit, where's the best nasi kandar in Malaysia?
Where specifically, I don't know, but definitely somewhere in Penang lah.
That's why, lor.
Maybe in
So-
main, maybe in mainland, not island only.
So you see, I think there's, I'm questioning, I'm just saying that that you're driving to that conclusion is in your unit.
Yeah, my experience,
Your-
my reading,
yes,
my intention,
correct.
correct.
I nerdily call it data points lah.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you look at the decision makers, they come from a very also siloed experience. So I was sitting on a board before, so I was just thinking, okay, so everybody has different experience data points. And if that's the case, they are drawing conclusions about what is proven and not proven and the risk. So they're quantifying, okay, let's say, okay, I'm giving some examples of my own company.
Yes.
Let's say I'm pitching to a corporate. Corporate A, okay, Johnson, okay. Here's my new data-driven methodology for you to optimize your logistics. For example, just making stuff up, right? And you're going, yeah, but I have 20 guys there who has done this for 20 years and they're pretty good, not maybe good enough, right? Because I don't know better. I don't know how DHL does it. I don't know how Nestle does it. Me as a local company, local corporate, I've done this for 20 years and my 20-year-old experienced 50-year-olds are amazing. I do not doubt that,
Okay.
right? I'm just saying there's a new methodology and in his perspective, that is a proven method. And yours, I don't have any data points, right? The difficulty is when the corporate if they are very big corporate who has the budget to actually take more risk. Technically, you would think that I have so much money, I could take, I don't know, it's like a rounding, right, to your annual report profits. Doesn't even move the needle. But the guy actually has a lot of fear because he's like, if I make this call or I champion this unproven method, my job is on the line. For him, it's binary. So that sort of risk-taking culture comes from the top, I think, because you did not sandbox or budget an amount that you can write off. And that in itself makes it difficult for young startups to actually pitch, right? Because both sides don't know actually. The provider doesn't know, the corporate doesn't know. It's an experiment.
Yeah.
But we are so adamant that the experiment has to 100% make it.
Oh, I see.
So it's very difficult.
Okay, wow.
Which is kind of true because.
Oh, by the way, quickly, can we just check whether our third panelist is joining us soon, Kamarul? He is actually on a tour with some VIPs and they didn't know he was having this. And being the new CEO, he couldn't say, sorry, you know, I got to go and attend this. So let's see if he's able to join us. And by the way, I forgot to mention that the fourth panelist, Chari, is not here because he had a family emergency. He's in the UK now, so he couldn't make it. He sends his apologies. Sorry. Okay, John.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, coming from a corporate, we are trying to create all kinds of innovations, sandbox and stuff like that, right? Yeah, basically the initiative to want to create that is good. The problem about corporate way of making decision is, okay, I'm going to invest this X amount of money for innovation experiment. Now, how long and how much am I going to get this back? That's the problem, right? So with that perspective and pressure, innovation can't happen.
Wow, okay. That's a well, a question for you then, right? Because looking at this topic about an ecosystem,
not guessing about risk, right? So they need to be trained. Actually, decision makers needs to be trained on quantifying risk. If I make this decision, what's the worst thing that could happen? Really, it's not going to break your big company, right?
Yeah.
So, but if it works, I could have this much potential upside. So a lot of it is actually not money. It is about quantifying how bad reputation will be, how bad, like a lot of these things becomes very anecdotal. So I think board of directors, government, civil servants, regulators, they need to be trained or be given instructions from the top to learn how to quantify and communicate risk. Okay, so that's my 2 cents. From the bottom up, I think SMEs, startups, even like middle level, even micro. Yeah. Actually, micro is the easiest to convert. But if you think about startups and SMEs, the thinking cannot be, in my opinion, just Malaysia. So you can't even, if you build a company thinking that I only have a pie of 100% in Malaysia, it's very small. So you have to think about exporting our talent. And in order to export your talent needs to be good enough to export.
Oh yeah, of course, correct.
So that's how I think about my team, right? So I think about it as, if I don't invest in their mindset from day one, if foundation itself is weak, whether they grow home or they grow abroad or how far they grow has to do with how much foundation I put in. Like at the SME level, which is most
Is it?
I'm thinking more mindset.
Mindset, okay.
Right.
Wow,
mindset.
you keep coming back to mindset. It's 9 years of your journey. So, okay, just a quick question. When was it that you felt, okay, it's clicked, right? My company now has the innovative mindset. How long did it take you to try to hammer that in? Okay. Hey, by the way, we are also coming up to the... I thought we started 11 o'clock. No, we started 11:35. Okay, got time. Hey, by the way, if you want to have some question, the mic is here. Just come up the old-fashioned way, right? And can ask a question or two. Okay, sorry.
No worries. Actually, I discovered that they were not innovative.
Okay, not unusual. Okay.
Right? And I was extremely frustrated, right? Because as you grow the company and you pour in more resources, your output is not
matching, right?
Well, it's not exponential. Let's put it that way. We
okay.
want, as a startup, as a tech startup, right? We are a tech startup. It needs to exponentially grow, right? I throw resources in, it needs to go like not even linear. It needs to be like multiple, right? And it wasn't doing that. And then I realized it's because as we grow, there's a laziness that's a fault of both ways, the managers and the juniors. There's this habit of outsourced thinking.
Outsourced thinking, yeah.
So it comes from our school where it's like, okay, there's this karangan. Okay, I don't know. I went to Bahasa school, okay? So my Bahasa wasn't very good, but now it's okay lah. So the karangan, the way they outsource the thinking is like, these are the standard way you can answer it. Your tuition teacher will give you the pointer already. You don't have to think. Just follow. Okay? So whenever somebody hits a roadblock, no matter how small, their solution is senior. How? So they become hands only. They outsource the brain, right? Because there's always a correct answer.
Yeah. Wow.
So I think that was something that took me a while to break. And I won't say we are 100% today.
Oh.
And I think it's a continuous process because the company is growing. There's new people coming in. It gets bigger and it gets a lot more complex to teach this mindset. But I feel like the awareness itself is step one. Yeah.
So, okay, you haven't really fully answered the question, Charlie. I'm asking you to build this, innovative ecosystem. What is the responsibility of the various components? You've spoken about government. You've spoken about companies. Then what about at education level? Whether you hit on the universities or you hit, from a certain level or schooling level? Is there anything at that level, or you think it's just at the government policy level and at the business level? That's all, not at the education level, which is fine if you don't.
Yeah. So let's talk about education a bit. I personally was most of the time educated abroad.
Okay.
Up to SPM, I was here.
Yeah, of course.
And then I was like gone like for a long time. So I'm very Western. So you have to forgive me a little bit. But I think the best education I got is when I felt the worst because I wasn't doing well, right?
Okay.
And I couldn't go into the point where the problem statement are easily communicated. So communication is a very big part of education. Articulating what you don't know. But we are in Malaysia, right? As if it's very interesting. Whenever we talk about education, it's like, oh, why don't we have computer science class? You know, we should learn about, I don't know, like art history. I mean, that is like a derivative of a curiosity mindset, right? And how do you build a curiosity mindset? It is at a young level, we have to invest in the time for kids to ask bad questions, right? And not go, don't ask me so many things, right? So that is one part of it that I think we're very obsessed about what we teach the kid instead of how we help him grow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'd like to add on
Okay,
as well because
fine.
yeah, I mean, I came from Kebangsaan School. And then after that, I was in vocational school and then I graduate locally, right? So yeah, I totally agree because locally, what happens here is that when I was in Kebangsaan School, everything is spoon-fed.
Yeah.
As long as you memorize, you can score, you get A's, right? Yeah, yay, that's what we all want. So everyone ended up memorizing, right? Then I went to vocational school willingly. When I was in vocational school, it was the other way around. Things are very, very hands-on. However, it's also a very structured hands-on. Means you learn to do this, you do this. But it's not an innovative or creative type. It's, for example, right, it was from electronics and electrics, right? So we are to wire up a DB box, okay? This is how you wire up the DB box. This is the standard, follow and keep doing, you'll be fine, okay? Now, it will be very different if the question was posted this way. This is how nothing.
Correct. They still do, yeah.
And we are doing above and beyond for that. And we learn so much and we share with each other. So actually among our vocational schools, right, a few of us still catch up today. We learn from each other from this style of exhibition, right? So I think with that, it also shows that in the educational system, let us do more like, you know, playing and innovating and show and tell, and then bring that result into the classroom. Yeah, that will help to change the mindset. It's a long way to go, but we have to start now.
No, I think about 8 years ago, we actually already started. Those of you who got kids in school, we've started. The teachers have been trained to teach whatever subject. Could be sejarah, could be sejarah to even Bahasa Malaysia, right? You're supposed to apply computational thinking into how you teach. So that's good. So and it started 5 years before that. So 13 years ago, right? They get Ministry of Education on board, and the teachers learn to start teaching the kids that way. So it is loosening up, and you have to start with the software, right? The teachers who are molding the kids. I think it has definitely gotten better in how they're trying to open up the minds, right, of our young kids there. Like, by the way, my son is doing his Form 5, but you know, the midterm just finished, and he told me yesterday he got 68 for his physics. So it's a B because you got to get 70 for A. But then the teacher said that if he's got 3 modules to read or to submit, if you do those 3 modules, then we can give you an A. So I'm like, as a parent, I'm happy. But here I'm thinking, hey, are you allowed to do that? It's good for the school, right? Got one more A for student. So I'm not sure. I got to find out, is that actually a part of the thing, or they're just trying to help him get an A because, you know, you're 68, right? And physics is a tough subject, but the bar has to be high, and the bar has to be, you have to be patient and keep pushing people, right? So now maybe I was told Kamarul is on his way here, but I also want to wrap up. And if you have questions coming, so there are no questions from online. Otherwise, I would have gotten them the PIP here. But because the topic is about building an ecosystem for thriving innovation base, right? And you may say, why? If you go online and read, and I used Bing now because Microsoft has got ChatGPT, right? So I say, what is the impact of innovation to an economy? Oh, innovation helps you create, new products and services, right? And generally, if an economy is innovative, the economy will keep growing. And all of us want an economy that keeps growing, right? So innovation is almost like the fuel, right, for an economy to keep growing. So that's why we're having a conversation like this. But innovation cannot operate just because government got policy. Okay, this is tahun inovasi negara, right? Oh, this year we must be innovative 2024. No, go for quickly tuition or go for a free class somewhere. Next year we're all innovative. No, it takes an ecosystem. So government is been trying to build an ecosystem, and we've got our entrepreneurs out there like who refuse to take things as they are, trying to make things different. And gentlemen like this with corporate experience, community experience now in a startup also, Souls Energy, they've got huge news coming out. I've been waiting for 2 months, but cannot announce yet. Huge news, right? So a world-class company is going to come and partner with them in a certain way, but they cannot announce it yet. So there are things happening, and I can see the ecosystem is coming together, but we definitely, our rules and outdated. If you go and check the Food and Poison Act, it's like 1984, 1986, alama. Update lah, right? 2024, right? The Food Safety Act. So many things are behind. So we need to push it. It cannot just be waiting for policymakers. You also must realize, even at the local government level, right? All of you live in a neighborhood and you've got a local council. You can reach out to them and say, hey, are the food stalls so they don't look hygienic? Can we test and see what's going on? And suddenly from the ground up also that push can happen. Because there is an awareness already and we need to do that. And government definitely is trying to do their best, and they are still missing the spots. And we got to, give them a kick up the behind and do better. But one interesting thing, I don't know if you realize, there's new, I think PMX announced last week, Monday, that new, Digital Economic Council and a bunch of members. The way those members were, do you know how those members were picked? Anyone? So they put out on social media that we are looking for people to join the Economic Council, right, which the PM chairs. Please send an email in to express your interest and we will evaluate. So I saw that, I said, okay, this one just like PR, wow, everybody can join, I can submit, right? And so when they finally pick, I called somebody after the first meeting and they say, hey, some of the names look a bit, like surely we could find better people. He said, no, Karamjit, we actually only pick people, those who email in and say, yes, I want to be part of this national process. So it's like, wow, that's like totally crazy, right? Maybe you do half and half, you pick some super smart and engage people who've already put in years and years, right? But they say, no, you must want to show that you're interested to be part of press, then we bring you in. So they were in there. Apparently, the PM had to stop one of the fellows because the first meeting, right? Tell me about yourself. He went on for more than 15 minutes. Everybody had 4 minutes. And then the PM actually stopped him and said, this inside news I'm sharing with you. If I want to know you better, I'll have to tare with you. Because PM chaired the meeting, nobody dared tell the guy, hey, cukup lah, bro. It's 15 minutes. I thought that was funny lah. But anyway, that's just an example of how they're trying to do things differently. And hopefully it will filter down lah, right? But maybe if I ask you for closing thoughts, right? In terms of our trying to build an ecosystem that can get innovation thriving, what maybe, Charlie, is the 1 or 2 things you would like to see happen for sure? And then same question for you, right?
I would like to see a centralized, I mean, we have a lot of agencies, like pick one, right? Pick one of the agencies and have the agencies be empowered, like to help us build a sandbox that's specific to the industry that we're trying to innovate in, right? I think that's quite important. A lot of times now, if you don't know anybody, you have to know someone to even have them have the initial trust to even hear you out, right? And I think a lot of people don't have the privilege of that. Yeah.
Don't have. So you feel that somehow you still need to know, interesting, somebody to help you like find your way through the system to get help lah. That's what you're saying. But you say that shouldn't be the case. Okay, understood. Because this entrepreneur I spoke to you about who's already got the product ready, that is the size of your palm. I told him, hey, you should be in a sandbox, and he didn't know about the sandbox. So he was actually traveling, but I got to tell him about the sandbox and connect him to someone, right? Who can, hey, your problem is perfect for
But it
us to
shouldn't
be
be
in our
you
sandbox.
lah. That's what I'm saying. It shouldn't be you. It should
Yeah,
be a
I know,
government
exactly lah.
agency. Yeah.
So these are pieces what you can do now. So fair point. Okay.
Yeah, to
And then
add
there's one question.
as well, right?
Don't
Okay.
echo lah.
No
Your own
lah.
idea lah.
Okay,
Copy
it's
pula.
my
Tak
own
boleh
idea,
lah.
but connect, right?
No
It's an
echo.
ecosystem.
Oh,
Yeah,
innovating. Okay.
innovating. So because, I mean, I've been doing community building since and then to get introduced, to be out there, right? So from there onwards, I mean, Cyberjaya onwards, it got a little bit easier. So now, at the same time, I will come from a community or individual perspective, right? Don't wait. A lot of community startups and all that, I say like, okay lah, I will try first, I build, I wait. Hopefully someone's going to see me. You have to go out and handshake as well, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yes, there are governments, there are policies, government agencies, platform like this, waiting for people to come. You have to make to make your course not by doing like marketing and brochures and stuff like that. That doesn't quite work.
No.
Prove your result. So I mean, a lot of people say like, oh, innovation is this very big, scary word, right? I cannot be like Tony Stark creating this cool stuff. The problem is innovation is not about creating cool stuff and product. There's so many layers in innovation. Start off with, let's say you are running your business model innovation, right? Look at how you can make your business more relevant to people solving the problem. By itself, people will talk about you. By itself, you are going to be seen. And with that, take these results, take this proof, and then go and handshake. And you will grow so much faster, right?
Small wins Small wins to build momentum, build belief, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So before ask you all your key takeaway, right? There is a question about what innovation to transform solar energy in new cities. Interesting. So this is like this is hey, this is your stuff. I said, hey, I very suspect, man. Who is this? Oh, it's from somebody called Ramsey. Okay,
Good
never mind.
question.
Okay, so right, so that's perfect. Well, so I think we must have seen you're wearing this Soul's Energy. So what's that about?
Well, SOLS, S-O-L-S stands for Science of Life.
Science of
Science
life.
of
Yeah,
life
very
study.
deep.
Yeah, we have to start from own self, right? Yeah.
And that's why it's 247, because life is always right. It doesn't stop.
24/7.
Although
yeah.
God took a rest on day 7, but science of life no stop.
No, there's always a joke because I left corporate, which is a 9 to 5
Yep.
job. Now I'm working 24/7.
They pay him so much. He is working 9 to 9. Okay, I know.
yeah, workaholic. Okay, so to address this, okay, let me address it from a general perspective lah. Okay, so today we also know that, I mean, we are getting electricity from a main electricity provider, right? But at the same time, our electricity needs are getting higher. With the introduction of EV cars, you can see a whole bunch of them out there.
Super cool looking also.
Yeah, so with that in your house alone, your house electricity bill is going to go up by 5 times.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. And then today, of course, we are going towards a more greener country and things like that. There's a lot of also incentive for you to get EV, right? So just imagine 20-30% of Malaysians, let's say tomorrow, suddenly just get electric vehicles, right? What's going to happen to our power grid? Suddenly huge amount of energy needed and not enough to generate, right? So that's why I would think why solar would be able to come in and help is because at least solar is something that any of us individually we can put on our roof. Okay, so at least for your own generation, you can still use solar to do that. Now, let's go one step higher, right? So for example, in terms of a community or in a taman,
Okay, by the way, I saw Kamarul just saying, hold on, Kamarul, let him finish quickly and then I'll invite you on stage and there's a penalty for you.
Okay. More questions, is it? So yeah, so I think that's what something that been shared out by the government recently as well, right? So there will be initiative to look into more like I would say microgrids, which means microgrids, which means areas, covered by solar to be able to feed into the factory or feed into municipals and things like that. So that can be the second step to come in to help out, right? Then thirdly, of course, the way of going towards like using lakes and abandoned areas to put in solar to provide more power.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Okay, with that now, I want to invite Kamarul on stage to join us, Kamarul, for the closing. And I was actually, give him a round of applause for making it anyway. Okay, so, right, and sharing my thoughts. So I said, wow, quite briny when it's, or he didn't know how tough it's going to be. I don't know. But anyway, with that, come on, I think you also were in the WhatsApp group, so you've got some questions, right? And I think your background is definitely very interesting because you've got, I think it should be on, right? So you've got corporate experience. He started in a technology company, then he went to property, right? So although you'll be surprised, property companies are very technology savvy when it comes to doing sales, but not for the sake. It's very sales driven. But because you've had that two perspectives, and he sits on the board still of like 20 companies. I don't know how you manage that, okay? But that's your headache. But maybe share with us, right, how you've seen, right, innovation work, right, in tech company, right, versus then in a traditional brick-and-mortar business, right? And also whether you've seen these companies where you've been a board member, because most companies are overseas. So it's got a nice, cross section, right, that you can share your thoughts with us. And then I'll straight jump to the last question for you, which is you know what's coming, but answer this first. And then just look at the audience when you talk, so they can, because we've got a live stream also.
Thank you. Okay. I think for normal tech companies, I think everybody knows what's available. But for property companies, actually there are three, I would say, stages where you can have innovations.
Okay.
One, of course, when you do the what you call it, the master planning of the township, and then of course the product, the house that you're going to build, and second, and the third one, I think is on the construction technologies. How you want to construct your
BIM,
products.
right?
Yeah. So it's not. I think BIM now has become something that compulsory,
really, right?
Yeah, it's already a standard. So, for example, when I was with Samdabi Property, even Samdabi Property really take seriously about innovation. So even we have organized a competition together with Persatuan Architect Malaysia for what I call it a Smart Home 2030.
Oh.
So what we want to do is that we want to revolutionize how we build and how the terrace house in 2030 looks like in terms of design and also in terms of the features of this terrace house. Because as I said, for example, when I joined Sunday Property in 2011, they already have come up with what you call it idea house concept.
Idea house or 2011. Wow.
Yeah. So the Sandabi is what we call it one of the top property developer in the country. They have looked forward in terms of this, and some of ideas. For example, I think you have probably I think also has become standard right now is the rain harvesting system. For example, so that was in early 2000. This idea is already in place, and now it has become like a standard. So there's one of the innovation that has been what I call it. The ideas have come earlier. Another one, I think now, as you mentioned about solar. So I think the next big thing will be all the property developers. They will make houses as what I call it EV chargeable ready. So they will install solar and then work with this charging provider to provide
charging. Yeah.
So because I think by another 20 years, I think EV will become like 80%
or
of
80%,
or more than that on the road. I think governments all over the world has come up with target when they're going to move from ICE in the future. So
So ICE means internal combustion engine.
yeah.
just in case.
So this is the trend that what I call it, currently we are still a disruptive technologies, but this will become a trend in the future, something that I think we cannot ignore.
Of course not. And we're
Yeah.
already on the path towards
Yeah.
that. So yeah. Okay.
So the only thing sometimes when it comes to property development, I think everybody wants to implement smart homes and all those things.
Yeah.
But I think the barrier currently is still about cost.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's interesting when you talk about just property. Quick one. I was talking to somebody and he said that his sister who lives in Darwin in Australia, and I think apparently Darwin is quite far out from Australia, and she ended up buying a house in Melbourne, or was it Sydney? You know how she bought the house? She put on a pair of VR goggles, right? And she could walk through the property, and she bought the property that way, man. I was saying, wow, how insane is that, right? And somebody told me recently that in Malacca, you know, there's one or two established developers from China there, and apparently for one of the projects, when you buy the physical property, they give you a version of your property in the metaverse. So if you put on your VR goggles, whatever brand you have, I've got the Oculus, and there'll be a VR exhibition or so tomorrow for the next 3 days by Cyberview, right? So you can check out many different games, but you get a VR version, a metaverse version of your property also. Of course, they already probably charge you within the property price, but you got some cool factor there. Like I say, wow, already happening. They started selling since like 2 years ago. It's amazing. So that's already coming. You want to add something there
Yes.
before I ask you the last question?
In fact, one of the winner of that competition,
2021.
yeah,
Okay.
is you can go into the metaverse and you can design your house.
Design your house.
And you can also have ideas from other people
Okay.
in the metaverse how to design your house or something like that. You know.
Wow.
So this is coming. This is not unreal. It's going to be real soon. And in fact, when I was in Battersea, they also have used some of this building automation. For example, when you tap your card, when you enter the building, automatically they will call the lift. So when you reach the lift is already
Lift
there.
open, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. So, but as I said, the cost is the prohibitive factor here.
Yeah, of
Once
course,
the
of
cost
course.
getting cheaper, for example, like battery, you can generate the solar power, but you cannot keep it at night. So the battery cost is the prohibitive factor right
challenge.
now. But I think we are looking into alternative battery apart from lithium ion. I think now technology is going into sodium ion.
Sodium. Okay.
Sodium ion by right should be cheaper because easy to get.
You get that. Understood.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is I think the future for batteries. So watch this space. I
Watch
think
this
soon you have to change your mindset. Your home won't be the same as per your current
Yeah.
home, I would say.
No, even
Yeah.
when we're talking about fostering the innovation economy, also so much conversation about mindset. But I want to ask you now one last question, because since now you are the CEO of Cyberview, have you had time, and you may not have, right, to assess what Cyberview is doing right or what they should be doing better? And do you have like an immediate short-term plan that you can share with us what we can expect?
Yeah, yeah, that is the thing that I'm facing right now. I just joined about 3 weeks ago.
I know, yeah.
After
No, that's
four-
why I want to ask you now. That's why it's the hot seat.
After 4 days, I have to fly to China for about a week.
Oh,
So, but it's good. It's a good trip because I got to see what is
Oh,
the
okay.
latest technology available, yeah, for the future. So there's something that we want to the deep tech that we want to bring to Malaysia. Actually, for those countries that have deep tech to bring their core technologies, and then in Malaysia, what we can do, even that's why we want to bring to Cyberjaya, is that they can develop joint ventures
yep.
with local
Of course,
companies
correct.
and develop what we call it applied technologies. For example, there is a technology now in China that they can preserve food using just room temperature.
Room temperature,
Just room
preserved food.
temperature.
Wow. Our warongs will be very happy,
Yeah.
man.
So they like durians, right? So now we can develop the applied technologies for durian, for example, and for mangoes, so that we can export. You don't need what you call it, liquid nitrogen anymore, you know, to froze the food.
Yep.
So this is something that we are looking into.
Understood.
And when you ask me about the Cyberview, what is
Yep.
the immediate or what we have done, right? I think we have built the ecosystem here. But of course, we need enhancement, especially, for example, I think to what I also learned from my trip to China is that for their tech hub, funding is very critical.
Limited, huh?
Yeah, now in Malaysia, I think a bit limited. And you can see even from the exhibitor here, they have a lot of products, a lot of ideas. But when it comes to commercialization, there where they usually got stuck,
Yes.
you know. And I think we have a lot of good products or ideas, but it cannot be commercialized, even our universities, no? So there's one thing I think that we are looking into, how to bring more funds to Cyberjaya, if possible, to help all these startups or people with ideas, how they can commercialize.
Wow,
So
okay.
this is one thing that we are looking into. But it's not going to be immediate,
Of course.
but we are
Yeah,
working
yeah.
towards that. And then secondly, I think is for ease of doing business. Yeah, we need really a one-stop center. For example, if the foreign direct investment, if
Yep.
you want to do business here, I think probably they have to go to a few places.
A few, yeah, of
to
course,
get
standard.
yeah. So this is something that we want to look into, so that when they come, for example, to Cyberjaya, they just go to one place and they can register their companies, open their bank accounts, and got all the necessary approvals from the local authorities.
Time is money, right? There are
that's right.
competitors there.
So I
Okay.
think that's would give us a bit of competitive advantage if you can do that.
Okay.
Other than that, of course, we want to look into how we can bring this, as I mentioned, this deep tech
This deep
from
tech, yeah.
from countries that were willing to share their technologies with Malaysia, and probably become what you call it, the meeting place for Malaysian companies or company from this region,
Yeah.
and make Cyberjaya as the hub for the expansion into Southeast Asia and also for the rest of the world.
Rest of the world,
Yeah,
okay.
so that is then that will align with our strategic intent to become a global tech hub. Yeah,
Well-
and then that will create, I would say, high valued
High income lah
jobs.
also, right? Yeah, high income jobs,
Rather
yeah.
than people just setting their sales office here,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
they won't
correct,
give us
correct.
any accretive value in
Okay,
terms of our economy. Yeah.
So we should have another session next year, a different topic, but see how much whiter your hair has become then, okay? Because you're going to be really in a very
Yeah,
stressful position, but you got to drive change, huh? Okay,
that's
very
right.
good. Thank you. With that now, just the last one, what we do, Kamal, is that we can just ask everyone for a 30-second, their key takeaway for the session, right? What if there's only one thing the audience walks away from this session, what you want it to be for them? So maybe we'll start with you first, Johnson.
Okay. Yeah, my one, ground up, very short. Okay, for individuals like us, get into innovation. Don't wait anymore, right? See a problem that you can see around you, start solving that. Because from that, by trying to solve the problem, if you don't know how to, you collaborate with others, you will go very long way.
And go to his Facebook. It's got a huge community of like 68,000 members, right? All tinkerers and breakers, and they love to welcome new people and they'll help you also. Shali, your key takeaway for the audience?
I think my only takeaway is that I think it's a habitual thing, you know, like you need to be kind with yourself if you want to innovate, and so try to not see failure as failure, like a negative thing, and see failure as a positive thing. I think that's the only way to break out of the innovative mindset.
No, and honestly, if I ask all the parents here, I'm sure all of you are bringing up your kids and telling them it's okay to experiment, right? Try this. You're definitely, nobody say, hey, don't do music, very difficult. I'm sure nowadays the parents are encouraging the kids to do whatever they want, because it's important to experiment and find out what works for you, right? And I was just talking to a student who studying in Open University and happened to be from Penang, engineer, and he said the program he did wasn't for him. Then he left and he joined a German manufacturing company for their internal, a 3-year advanced diploma program. And then when he came out, then he went to university because I want to still get the degree. So, but much more industry-led lah. But anyway, for you, right, to be open to experimentation and not be afraid of failure. What would be your key takeaway for the others? And by the way, the penalty I said is that you have to buy everybody lunch, okay, after
sure.
this. So please tell them where they're going for lunch.
Okay, for me, the key takeaways is that technology and innovation, I think will become is a thing that Malaysia as a country need to adopt if we want to move into what you call it high income nation league. I think we already being a bit left, I think a bit behind in all those things. Yeah, if we don't change our mindset and we move towards this as a nation, we will be left behind. That's the only thing I would say. And Cyberview is here to encourage Malaysian companies, all the startups and also other tech companies, come to Cyberjaya, and we will try to assist you to achieve your objective. If, for example, if you want to do expansion, looking for funding or other things, yeah, we will try to help you. Yeah.
No, great.
Yeah.
So look, when you say it is, we're behind, but you know, there's a global ranking of countries, the Global Innovation Index by WIPO, World Intellectual Property Organization. And Malaysia for 2022 was ranked like 37. And we've been in the 30s, low 30s, and then now we seem to be on the wrong side of 30s, on the high 30s. Other countries are always, everybody wants to be innovative, right? Because remember, right, it leads to higher income economy and jobs also. So we absolutely got to get re-engage ourselves and move higher up, and hopefully you can play a role in Cyberjaya and Cyberview, right? Can be the place where you come to get the applied the technologies to end up being applied. Means it meets a market need, and to start earning good revenue, right, and creating good jobs then. So with that, thank you for your time, and for those who are watching us live stream, thank you so much. We went a bit over the time, but we appreciate the questions that have come in, and just give a round of applause to our panelists and a round of applause to yourself for staying. There are actually more people now than when we started, which is very rare. Thank you so much. Okay, and enjoy the next few days for the first ever Cyberjaya Innovation Week. Thank you so much.